What's up, everybody? Check 1 2. Check 1 2. J_Barton joined that quick. Thank you, Izzy, and everybody else. It's Monday. Sorry, I'm like 10 minutes late. I've been actually moving. I've been moving my apartment for the whole weekend. I've been moving out of the city. New York City is really crazy to think about moving out of a city that I've worked so hard to get to as a little kid and dreamed about being here. And love. So moving out just for a little while, for about a year. All right. Got a bad connection over here, but all right, there you go. So let me pin this. You know what it is already. It is Power Shift Your Week, presented by T-Mobile. All right, I'm gonna pin my comment. Boom. Boom, pinned. All right. But even with the moving, I try to stay consistent because I didn't promise you, but I told you I was going to be here every single Monday at 1 o'clock and every single Tuesday at 1 o'clock. And between all the madness, I know that if I said I was going to do it, then I got to follow up on it because so many of you have, taken your time to be here with me today. All right. So remember, this is Power Shift Your Week, and I start writing a couple of notes so I make sure that I stay on track and keep you on track because by now you know what I do. And of course, this is presented by T-Mobile for Business. So if you are a business owner looking for even more insight, head on over to tmobile.com/business and take advantage of all the amazing resources that they have available to you. So my segment number one always is, did you know? Did you know? Remember, you got to learn something every single day. There's an old saying, if you learn something every single day, then make sure you don't die in the morning because you may learn something at night that'll save your life. All right, so what are we going to learn today? All right, here's the fact. According to Deloitte's survey, 83% of millennials reported higher levels of engagement when they believe their company fosters an inclusive culture. Think about that. So the hardest thing to do right now is to get millennials to work for you because, of course, let's not talk about in this instance. We're talking about over the last, 5 to 10 years. Employers said that they had a hard time getting millennials to work for them or maybe even being more engaged. And the reason why is because stats have shown that 50% of millennials said that they'll never work for anybody in their life. So if they're there, they're either there because they're interning or they're just starting out in life and maybe they're being smart and saying, as soon as I get out of college or I'm going to take a couple of jobs and learn what I like, what I don't like. Also, a lot of millennials are a little distant because they wearing headphones and this and that, even though they're chatting around the world. But to be engaged at a company, employers need millennials because you need a good mixture of seniors, millennials, people of this religion, that religion, this gender, race, because that's where you get ingenuity. You get people who think differently but can all come together and decide or improve a product and or something. So why do I say that? I say that because I've told you over 50% of my staff are started off as interns. I would say really over 80% because I wouldn't say they were interns, but a lot of other people that came from other careers would come in and say, all right, I'll work for 9 months I'm used to getting paid, this amount of money annually, but I will work for this amount just for 9 months. To see if I can figure out things or ways that I can be of use here to you, and I can carve out, something here. But over 50% definitely started out as college interns. Remember, they came into my office because they were at a school, because you have to get credit when you have to be at a college, to intern, and you have to get college credit. And they may have gone in there going, well, that's easier as part of my course. But they decided to stay as well when we offered them the positions because I found that a lot of them would show up before the people getting paid and stay after the people getting paid. Not meaning that my staff is not amazing. My staff is absolutely great. So why do I say all that? Well, they were engaged. They felt like they were part of the decision-making process. The days of internship where it's go and get me some coffee, that first of all, I think it's actually not illegal, but you can't really do that. But the days now of wanting to find out how they're dealing with social media, what are the things that are keeping them up at night, and please be part of the brain trust and the teams are here. And when you do that, you engage more people. When you engage more people, even though you're paying or you aren't paying, but they're supposed to be there a couple of hours, they stay there longer. They communicate when they're not at work. They bring back fresh ideas because it's no longer the, oh, shut up, you're just a kid, or shut up, you're old, or shut up, you're this, or shut up, you're that. So how can you use that to your best benefit? How will you find a way to use that to your best benefit? You have a lot of young people around you. Listen, a lot of people watching me right now are parents. And it's funny, about 10 years ago, and I always make the joke, I used to go into my daughter's room and she was doing her homework on the computer. She was talking to her boyfriend. She was shopping. She was watching YouTube videos. And she was lying to me all at the same time. And instead of saying, what are you doing? I would go, what are you doing? I want to learn. Because I wanted to find out what was going on. I wanted to find out about a new thing called Snapchat, or about the TikToks of the world, or about what bloggers they're watching and things of that nature. And when you start doing that, you start taking in a lot of information and using it for your business and your product and to take advantage of where you're going. So it's extremely important to have an open mind and listen to things that are going on around you, because when change comes, like today, you'll be a little bit more prepared. All right. So hopefully you will be able to use that to your advantage. Now, my next segment, of course, because I think music just motivates us. It is the motivation mix. So many times during my life, I think about the times when, I was going through a struggle and I was trying to just really make it somewhere, and music was the soundtrack of my life, whether it was Kenny Burke Rising to the Top, or whether the whole year I listened to Bob Marley. And no, I don't smoke weed, but it was a whole year of high school I listened to Bob Marley. Then I remember there was a whole year of high school that I listened to Stevie Wonder, and and then of course it was a whole year I listened to Ice Cube and things of that nature. And I think this music just motivates us. It is the soundtrack to our lives. I think that sometimes you'll hear a song and it'll remind you of a difficult time you were having in your life at a period of time, and you were like, wow, I made it out of there. And I remember that song being around that difficult time. Or it'll be a song that'll remind you of love and the first time you met somebody, or a trip you took with your child or your significant other or your mother or your father. It'll remind you of times when they were good. Don't you remember the songs? I don't want to show my age, but you remember those times when the slow songs, you used to have to walk all the way across. All the girls would sit as soon as the slow song came on. At the end of the night, the party. All right, everybody playing hip hop, everything. Boom, slow song comes on, DeBarge or something else, and all the girls would immediately run to their seats and sit, and you had to stand up and walk across that maybe 30-foot dance floor or cafeteria floor, whatever it was, and you had to ask a girl to dance with you. And if she said no, woo, that was a long walk back. That walk was like going through the desert. But if she said yes, and you got to touch her hand, and you got to hold her and just dance with her and smell her little sweet perfume or whatever the case is, it was absolutely amazing. All right. So anyway, my motivation mix today, though, is you get what you give by the New Radicals. I really love this song. And why do I love this song? Because I love this song because check out the lyrics. The song reminds me that listeners are, no matter what, are going to put the world and come back together. And check out the lyrics. The world is going to pull through. Don't give up. You've got a reason to live. Can't forget. We only get what we give. I think I take that seriously because I call myself the people shark, and I take it seriously because I try to relate to people. I know that, when you see me on Shark Tank, a lot of times the main reason I'll ever get upset on Shark Tank is when somebody comes on there and says something like they have $1 million and yet they want the sharks to help them out and they want more money. And I always say to myself, most Americans don't have $30,000. Most Americans don't have $10,000 in the bank. And if you are absolutely asking for money, you're taking that spot away from another person who really deserved it. You have $1 million in the bank, so why don't you use that $1 million, or the power of broker, use only 100,000 of it, and stop taking that position away from somebody who somebody who has spent all their kids' college fund and risked their home and left their career so that they can follow their dream. So that's why, I call myself the People Shark, because you get what you give. And that's why I try to give as much as I can. And I find that the more I give, the more blessings that I receive. Basically, that's one of the main reasons that I love that song. And you can check out my motivation mix on Spotify, and just go to Spotify and check out my motivational mix. All right. So the next one I want to talk about. Oh, you know what I want to do here? I'm going to bring on the T-Mobile for Business fan Q&A with a small business owner. And I'm gonna bring her on right now, and it is called. She's a Portland Juice Company. Her name is Liz. I think we're gonna learn a lot from Liz. Let's look for Liz really quick. Looking for. There we go.
Hi.
Hey Liz, how you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
I am great. It's Monday. I'm visiting my city. Before I leave New York City, I forgot about all the amazing street meat out here.
Yeah, I love the street food in New York. How are you doing?
I'm really good. So, um, I'm going to read off a little bit about you. I mean, this is an
Okay.
impressive bio. Portland Juice Company is a woman-owned and uses locally sourced quality fruits and veggies to create its certified organic cold press, all natural juices. It expanded delivery radius and lowered to free delivery minimums. Lower the free delivery minimums to encourage people to stay home. Thank you for doing that. To help medical personnel on the front lines fighting COVID-19, you also created a special emergency personal package. And via the website, customers can choose what juices products they'd like to donate to their hospital of choice for the workers on duty. And Portland Juice Company splits the cost and delivers the packages for free. So, first of all, thank you for all that.
Thank you for having me.
I can ask you so many questions about juice. I actually have one here from one of the local places because let me see what it has in here. It has some stuff I can't read. Chlorophyll?
Chlorophyll. Yeah, absolutely.
That sounds like a chemical. I know this. Doesn't that sound like a chemical?
It sounds like a chemical, but that's what gives it that bright green color, and it's a superfood, and you're doing your body a huge favor by drinking it. That's awesome.
Chlorophyll, aloe vera, lemon, pink salt, super ionic minerals. You heard of that?
Yeah. I'm not as familiar with super ionic minerals, but it sounds really healthy.
Well, it sounds cool. Super ionic. Anyway, I'm outlining my body.
I have some questions for you as well.
Yeah. So first of all, we're gonna get to yours, but I want to just kind of, I think it's because of Shark Tank. We don't know anything about the people that come on Shark Tank, and when they come on, we like to ask them all the questions first, and then bang, So how long you been in business?
9 years.
9 years. All right. And of course, when this thing hit, it's very hard for people to keep their businesses open.
Yeah.
Of course. But instead of not only keeping your business open, you lowered the cost of some things to get to people, let them stay home, as well as took a good portion of your time to donate to those who are on the front line. And, how has that worked out for you? I mean, where are you at with business today? Is it challenging? Are you finding a new resurgence of business, new way to do it?
Yeah, so much has changed in the past couple months. Back at the beginning of the year, we had a thriving retail business where people would come in and sample juices and buy juices on the spot. We've always had a delivery component where people can order online and we deliver to homes and offices in the Portland area. And as soon as COVID hit, it's like our retail business went to basically zero.
Wow.
But our delivery business went through the roof. And we had to get another refrigerated van to keep up with deliveries. And so we've been very fortunate that that our business model has been one that has been able to sustain somewhat a normal amount of production of juices and stuff like that, even though the food and beverage industry has been hit really hard, especially restaurants and things like that.
How did you get people though? Because you didn't, if your doors were, if you were a retail operator, first of all, it's going to cost you more now because you have to buy a vehicle, or you have to pay obviously for transportation and gas and everything else. And if you didn't have an online existing business, I would assume that you would have been spending the first 2 months trying to even get up the site and get up the business. So how did you know that with a retail spot, you should also have that balance of, the online service?
Well, I have to say, I totally understand your question. And I have to say that part of it was luck, in that when we started out so small, so tiny, that our original production facility didn't have space for retail. So we were web-based. You had to order the juices online and have them delivered because you couldn't pick them up in the shop.
That's the power of broke. I love it. That is what so many people right now need to hear, because now a lot of people right now are trying to think about a business and they're thinking, do I get a retail because retail may be a good place because, the prices are low, or do they start like you did, start as small as you can?
I mean, I would say start as small as possible and grow. We were in our original facility for about 6 months before we had the traction to grow into a larger space, which allowed us more manufacturing space and also was able to give us a small retail section so people could start coming in and sampling the juices. But we started off in 600 square feet. So with equipment and sinks and refrigerators, like that was about as small as we could possibly as we could possibly start. And now we're in 3,500 square feet and we have retail presence. But that online sales that we started with has continued to be a big part of our business. And then when COVID hit, it became almost 100% of our business.
Right. All right. So what questions do you have for me? Hopefully,
all right.
But it sounds like you got everything figured out, but maybe I can answer something.
Oh my gosh. I don't have anything figured out. But given this very uncertain economic climate, I'm wondering if you were me, would you be focusing on growth or would you be focusing on profitability?
So I would not be focusing on profitability as much.
Okay.
The reason being is that things are going to go back to a different type of way, and the reason you should be you should be trying to perfect your product, your customer, and your delivery. And even if profitability goes down a little bit, but you are out there grabbing more real estate, getting juices out to, first of all, maybe not only first responders, but directly to the hospital, directly to other retailers, so that your truck becomes a van, it becomes a truck, and every day you go and you kind of spread your wings, even though the profitability may not be there as much, because what happens is a lot of your competitors are going through the same thing and they're not able to transition as fast. That means that they're leaving a void in the market of real estate that you can acquire. If you were thinking about profitability right now, you wouldn't be thinking about taking chances, right? You may buy a bigger machine, or maybe a little buy produce at a lower cost. Okay, you can still do that, but it's really about expansion right now because you're figuring this thing out, and you want to have a larger footprint when things are over, because then the door is going to be open, everybody's going to be in there, but then you're going to say, well, you don't have to get it here. You can get it, you're in Portland, you'd be like, you can get my stuff in 10 different cities and things like that. So you want expansion.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So along those same lines, in this like very uncertain economic time that we're dealing with, would you be focused on like the high end, higher price point product, or would you be going for something that is more accessible, lower price point?
So it all depends on the data that your customers are showing you. I don't know who your customer is.
Yeah.
If you're, business is 80-20, 20% of your customers are 80% of your business and vice versa. And if you find that one is spiking more, and I hate the word to use the word spiking in this world we live in, but if one customer is buying more, you need to supply to that customer. I'll give you an example. People are going to acquire stuff no matter what, and they're going to acquire it the way they want to acquire it. So you always have luxury, you have high end, you have medium, and you have low tier, right? A person who is luxury or high end, they just in whatever category, they may walk around in bummy clothes, but they only like Louis Vuitton, right? The person who buys Louis Vuitton is never going to buy that $30 pocketbook or that $60 pocketbook. They're just not going to do it, right?
Right.
The person who says, I can't afford these stuff, or they can afford stuff and they go, I only buy $40 pocketbooks because I'm the person that makes the style, they generally are not going to buy the Louis Vuitton. But somebody's going to service all of them, right? So when I made FUBU, we made a big mistake. FUBU in the denim market for hip hop apparel, FUBU was it wasn't luxury, it wasn't high end. It was kind of like Macy's level, and we would sell our product for about, let's say denim would be $80. Well, because the kid who couldn't necessarily afford the $80 denim, because they can only afford $30, we would not make it at that price, because the kid who wanted the $80 would not the kid who wanted $80 would not buy us if they saw us for $30.
Right.
Well, what happened? A new company came in called South Pole, who said, I'm going to sell you stuff for $30, and I'm going to put Bugs Bunny or other characters on it. And they ended up doing $600 million a year when we were doing $400 million a year. Because no matter what, that bottom tier or the upper tier are going to obtain it. So I say all that to say, if you're doing the high-end juices and stuff like that, you say there, you give some different type of offerings, but your core is your core. If you are doing a lower-end juice or a more affordable juice, you can have one SKU that's up there or two SKUs that are up there, but your core is your core, and you have to be able to deal with your core, but give a small offering for anybody else to be able to test your brand.
I appreciate that advice. So one of my questions kind of is about everything that's been going on with like the Black Lives Matter movement and like LGBTQ rights and everything that has been really like charging the climate in the past couple weeks and months. And so my question to you is, what do you think is my response or our responsibility as business owners to vocalize our support for those causes while maintaining our mission, which has always been to provide the highest possible quality product to our consumers? And Like, how do you think we should use our platform as business owners, whether it be social media or what have you?
So really good question. I think that even what I do with my staff, I'm a man of color, and I would assume that my staff are not prejudiced because they work for a man of color and with pride and fight for me all the way to the death. But I had a conversation with my staff, and we opened it up. The whole team opened up to talk about things that to talk about the subject. And a lot of the people who were not necessarily of color said, I got questions, but I don't want to sound stupid,
Right.
or I just don't know where to start. I want to help. I want to help, and I feel helpless. What can I do? And I want to do it the right way. The first thing that we had to do was have the discussion internally. And when, let's say, one person on the team who happens to be white found out that another person on the team, that when that person who was of color, when their son started driving to school or driving at 16 years old, they never knew at the end of the night if they would see their son. Every time the phone rang, they would say, I hope that's not my son died, right? And when they found out that that hurt them so much, meaning the person who was white, they said, I just never knew this, that you had this burden when you came to work. Or when they found out that somebody that's been one of their best friends that are black, they found that when they were watching TV, the white people, a lot of times when they watch TV and they see people maybe of color going through it, it looked like those people were baggy jeans and they were crazy and they may have deserved it or they did something wrong. And then when they realized their friend of color right next to them said, no, I've been in that situation, or that's been me. They go, no, not you. The people we're watching are bad people. And they're like, no, they're just being portrayed with that, or you saw just a clip of one part of it, right? You didn't see, these people are real people. So when I did that, what happened was I found that, I've been telling everybody this. One of my team members, he happens to be of the Jewish faith. He said, "You know what? I never realized." And he absolutely is not prejudiced. He said, "I could have changed my name. I could have changed my sideburns. I can change whatever the case is. I don't have to wear a yarmulke if I don't want. And then you know what? I don't have to be Jewish. I can choose not to be Jewish if I want to hide in plain sight. But you, as an African American, you could be walking down a block, and I can see who you are 2 blocks away." Right.
Yeah.
So when people started to have that dialogue within my company, what happens is when we start saying, guys, what can we do out there in the world to um, to create change? You have internally people who are like, let's go, let's do it. So then you start to think about, they start to come back, your employees from the neighborhood, and start to say, hey, here's some things we can do. What we're facing, the entire country, what we're facing right now is not going to go away for a long period of time.
Right.
But there are small changes that you can make. I'm going to try to come up with a list of stuff. But there's small things you can do, like making sure that the police department in your area wears body cams. A lot of times the body cams went away. Why? Because the well-to-do people, let's say they were caught with a DUI, they were drunk and they were swerving, they're outside vomiting on the street. When they go into the court on Monday morning in the three-piece suit, looking all, like a dignitary, they got off, right? So then the body cam will come on, you see them on the street, oh, and so then they said, let's change that, right? But what is the body cam doing now? It's showing when the small amount of police that are rotten apples, when they are out of place. So there's various different things you can find out who is supporting correction facilities. Correction facilities are privatized correction facilities. You can find out what companies are supporting them. If a correction facility, an average bed in a correction facility is a hotel. We taxpayers pay, I think, about $40,000 or $80,000 per bed in there, right? If they're privatized, so they need customers. And who are the customers going to be if 90% of the people who arrest for drugs are African Americans? Right. So the police are a byproduct of systematic racism. But the first thing you guys can ever do, is just like you did as an entrepreneur. You saw a problem. You thought, maybe I can fix some of this problem. You did your homework on why the problem exists, and you did your homework on the solutions. The best way to start off now, anybody listening like you who may want to do something, go watch the Netflix has a great movie called 13, right? There's another one. Her name is Michelle, I think Jordan or something like that. She spoke at Riverside Church, but she had a new book out called The New Jim Crow. Do your homework first, and then you'll come up with small ways. And as you do, like an entrepreneur, you'll find small ways to help, and then bigger ways to help. You know what I realized I wasn't doing? I realized that because I was so busy thinking about marketing and branding and all the stuff we do. And I have a fairly large amount of African Americans who work in my company and have worked in my companies because I've hired everybody from Red Lobster and from high school. But I also realized that I wasn't giving as many of the new youth of color chances because I was pulling my interns from the special schools in New York City. So I said to myself, shame on you, Daymond. Why don't you give the kids, in other schools that may not be the prestigious ones, a chance to? We all have a right to, we all have small things that we can do to change, and it's just going to make us all much better.
Thank you so much. I just have a couple more questions.
Sure.
As a venture capitalist, what would you say is the ideal time to hear a pitch for a new product? Is it, and this is totally shifting gears.
No problem.
I really appreciate everything that you just said. But do you want to hear about something like at the idea stage, do you want to hear about something after we've got some sales under our belt?
So I got it, and I'm gonna give you a couple of different nuggets. So remember, I'm an angel investor, a venture capitalist, a little different. So venture capitalists are people that they have a very strict criteria. They are, let's say they're in medical tech or they're in retail juices, and they have either 50 million or 100 million or a billion. And their criteria usually are, we're going to invest in up to about 10 companies, because let's say they have $100 million. And the reason I'm saying this to you is so that everybody, you as well as everybody else, can know who you want to pitch. If they have $100 million and they're investing in juice companies, they only want in their portfolio anywhere from 7 to 10 companies, because they don't want to have to do $101 million deals. They rather do 7 or 10 $10 million deals.
Yeah.
And their lane is very tight, and they know that they're going to invest, and they're out of their capital. They get return on the capital either 5 to 7 years. That's their exit. And they hope that 2 out of 8 of those acquisitions or investments pay back the money, because that pays back for everything. Angel investors are a little different. And so if you go to them and the venture, if you go to them and you have a clothing company, they couldn't care less. Their criteria is this. Angel investors invest in various different things, because we're angel investors, we usually do a smaller round, and we invest. We always want to, I don't want to speak for everyone in the world, because I can't speak for everyone in the world. I generally want to only invest in companies that have some level of proof of concept and or business model. Reason being is because if I'm going to, because I'm a Shark Tank, I don't know if I'm going to invest in a company that's coming through that is for pets, or tomorrow it's a service industry, or tomorrow it's whatever the case is. So unlike the ones who are venture guys who may say, hey, listen, I know you. You've been through 4 juice companies, and now you want to launch your own. I got you because you're brilliant. I got your back. And they know when you're talking good or bad or indifferent about juice companies, because they've been in that space. I don't know when you're talking about what you're talking about. So I like to see a little bit of sales or proof of concept, because if you don't know your customer, you can't show me your history, and you can't show me that something is going to sell for $9.99 or $7.99, or you're like, hey, do I go to the premium market or this? You're using my money for tuition if you don't know, because I can't help you. I'm not in that space.
Right.
So we always like to know a little bit. I mean, it's always great. The perfect sweet point for me is when somebody can't keep up with the orders.
Yeah.
They've been in business for about 3 years.
Yeah.
They busted their butt. They
Yeah.
busted their lip. They got hit a couple of times.
Yeah.
They came back and they shifted like you. They power shifted a couple of times, and they're like, and now I'm ready to scale this bad boy. And I'm
Right.
like, here you go.
Okay. Okay. And this will be like one of my last questions. This has been extremely helpful. It's been a really positive experience chatting with you. But we are ready to launch a new product. And this one is a little bit different than what we've been doing for 9 years. It does contain alcohol, and it's as healthy as alcohol gets. But I don't want to confuse. We're developing it under its entirely different brand, so as not to confuse it with what we're doing now. And so my question is, how do we promote this brand that does contain alcohol without confusing what we've worked so hard for with Portland Juice Company, which is a very health focused, just like raw fruits and veggies. So we're kind of taking the product in a different direction. And alongside that question is another question, which is venture capital or angel investment versus bank, like traditional bank loans. What are some pros and cons
Okay,
there?
so all right, cool. So let's talk about the capital first.
Yeah.
Venture capital, listen, money is only as good as the people behind it. And if not, then if you do have the ability to take bank loans because you
Okay.
have a low interest rate and they don't take any percentage of your company.
Okay.
However, if you are taking an angel investment round, not venture yet, let's say an
Yeah.
angel investment round for somebody who's been in the food and beverage industry for many, many years and they believe in what you're doing and they're down to be on the board or they're down to give away, give knowledge and give you access and pick up the phone and use their Rolodex, that's way different. All right.
Yeah.
So those are the two options that you can have. And you can always, if you feel you need the bank loan to scale, then use the bank loan to start scaling and testing on your own money.
Yeah.
And then when you think you got to the point where you are going to go national or global, then you will need a bigger house to do that with. All right. As for your alcohol-based thing, I don't know. Listen, I personally love it because I can go in there and a lot of people, it's kind of like I'll have the triple cheeseburger with fries. And by the way, I want a Diet Coke. I think that there's a lot of people who will be like, oh, I'm being so healthy. I'm going to have the carrot juice with this and this and this, and then I'm going to have the loudmouth, bowl of soup type of product. But I wouldn't, if I were to do that, it sounds like you deal with a premium market already. Because now I'm seeing why you asked about the premium positioning, because if you start doing that, then I think I would do it, but I would do it still under your brand, Portland, the brand. But now knowing limited amount about your brand, you may have said, hey, we're only going to make things as healthy for you. If you've always said that, then you're going to start saying, well, sometimes a healthy person needs time to party. Right. I'm not sure. You know what I mean? But you're going to have to figure a way to do that because it's hard enough coming out with one brand and mastering one brand. Then all of a sudden you got something new out in the market with another name. I personally think that if you were going to do it, it should be kind of like that, that dessert, that expensive dessert at your place.
I love it. Thank you so much. That's all I've got. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and thank you so much for your time.
No, thank you so much. I think a lot of people can learn from you. Thank you for your openness, and thank you for your willing to learn as well as you're willing to help people, as well as say, hey, I'm not helping enough. Maybe I should. What else can I do to help LGBT or people of other people having challenges as business owners? The government is not going to change what's going on out there. It's going to be people like you and me and everybody watching who can employ people, who can open up discussion, have honest discussions and say, guys, why don't we listen first to everybody and let's make small change. So thank you for you, and thank you to T-Mobile for Business for introducing me to you, and all the best.
All right. Likewise. Have a good one.
All right. You got it.
Bye.
Absolutely amazing, amazing conversation, and you can learn from so many different people. I just learned from her as well about, I love the juice aspect, and I love bringing that sexiness to the juice plate. So you know what? Maybe if I go to the juice store with my wife and she's drinking a juice, maybe I don't want to be healthy. Maybe I'll be like, well, I wanted a drink. Let me get a drink over here. Right? So it's not always the customer that you have, but the customer also has a significant other or a child or something else like that. It reminds me of an old point that I love telling people. You know, people used to have retail stores, and I used to say, you know how you can increase your sales by 10% if I went in there and I didn't see a certain device in there, or a certain thing in there? They're like, how? I said, you need a bench or a chair, especially in female stores that were selling female products, definitely clothes. Why? Because the female goes in there and her husband is bored out of his mind, or the child is running around like crazy, and they're so busy trying to shop and concentrate when they end up going, all right, I'll just come back another time, and shut up, and they take their child and they run out of the door unless they have a time with their child to sit on the chair so they can try on their stuff in peace, and they purchase their stuff. Now, the bench is not in there for the female, it's in there for the child, right? Same thing with the juice company. You can have a great juice company and you can be as healthy as you want. I mean, my wife is super healthy. I'm semi-healthy. But, you know, sometimes when my wife is going in to get a juice, I may be thinking about, when am I going to be able to get a nice drink? The day is over and I am jittery from all the stuff. So we'll go into the same place and we'll grab something. Two different people will grab something at the same place. So congratulations on her even thinking about that. All right. So my last thing is, I always give you a challenge of the week, and I want to give you all the challenges of the week. So um, here's my challenge of the week. I want you to write down your goals for the month of July and step-by-step plans you have to accomplish each of those goals, and read those notes every single morning. And small steps. I want you to think about what you want to accomplish for the month of July. Do you want to lose 4 pounds? Do you want to finish one course? Do you want to spend more time with your child? Do you want to work out more? Do you want to read one book or listen to one audio book a week? Just try that for 1 month. Just try it. Please try it. Write down in your notes today or your calendar that you said you were going to do it, right? And then at the end of July, look at how many books or how many things you did. And you'll be surprised. If you said you were going to read 4 books or listen to 4 books, because you haven't gotten to a book in a long time, if you just read one, you start to say, wow, let me do it again next month. Please do it, because remember, I read my goals every single night before I go to bed. Well, 5 days a week. I read them, my goals, before I go to bed, and when I wake up in the morning, I read all of them. The reason why I read them at night is because I want it to be the last thing I think about when I go to sleep. The reason I read them in the morning is because I want it to be the first action I take. And my goals are in 6-month increments. Well, honestly, I would tell you the truth. I changed my goals a little bit. I changed them to 2-month increments because of COVID. Because when we had normalcy in our lives, I can set goals for 6 months because things weren't changing so fast. But because things are changing so fast, I reduce my goals in regards to size of what I want to accomplish and in regards to time limit. And I've reduced my goals to 2-month goals now. 2 months, 1 year, and 5 years. I used to have them at 6 months, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, and 20 years. And I changed myself because, right now with so many things going on in the world, we just don't know what's happening. And I know every single day you wake up and you say, is this thing over yet? But it's not over yet. And then all of a sudden you look on the news and some people weren't, it's really fascinating to me right now. How did masks become a political issue? How did the saving of lives become a political issue? You're either this type of voter or that type of voter if you have on a mask. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's just so random. You know what I mean? So anyway, this world is being so, it will come together in so many different areas and so many other people are polarizing in it. I want you to be the one to educate yourself and you come together and you help save yourselves and others. So all the best. Thank you so much to T-Mobile for Business. And I want to make sure that you know that you have other resources that you can go to. So let me make sure that I always say it the right way, but okay. So go make sure that you guys don't forget to head over to tmobile.com/business. business and take advantage of all the amazing resources they have for small business owners. Thank you, T-Mobile, for supporting small business owners. Thank you for T-Mobile for giving me that great interview and coming up with more people that we can learn from. And make sure all of you guys follow me tomorrow. Tomorrow about 1 o'clock, I'm going to see who am I going to be interviewing. I'm going to bring on Naomi Shaw from the Meet Cute podcast, which I did an actual voiceover for one of her shows, and Mark Mastrade from Iconic tomorrow from my Power Talk Iconic, all the beautiful new empowerment posters we have up. But we're going to be talking about business with both of them. One is going to be super creative on regards to if you're out there, maybe you are somebody who wants to do podcasts or want to do short films or wants to be a writer in some areas. And then Mark is absolutely amazing with the way and his ability to distribute empowering products. He probably started from his home. I knew he was at another company, but I want to talk about all the stuff that we're doing together and collectively. So please be safe out there. Do me a favor, wear your mask, listen to me. Right now I'm moving. I'm probably going to do a podcast about that or Instagram Live about me moving. I'm moving out of the city that took me. Listen, I grew up in Queens. New York City was 30 miles away. It took me 30 years to travel 30 miles to finally get to New York City and be around so many amazing people. And I'm a New Yorker by blood, right? And I never thought that I would be moving out of New York City. But even though, because my staff is so supportive and we know how to work virtually, I'm actually moving out of New York City for a year and a half, because this thing is serious that is out here. So if I'm telling you it's that serious, if you, the best way you can do it right now is just wear a mask. I mean, stats are showing. Look at Japan. I want everybody, if you're in an argument with somebody who's saying that you shouldn't wear masks and masks are senseless, check out Japan. They have 1/3 of our population, and my numbers may be wrong off the top of my head, but check this out. It's going to be drastic no matter what. If they have 1/3 of our population, which is approximately 120 million people, because they're a culture of wearing masks all the time, so when this thing hit, they all wore their mask. You know how many people died? Less than 1,000. Less than 1,000 people. That means that, in our country, 120,000 have died. Less than 1,000 died in their country. Think about that. It's very simple. Wear a mask. Be safe. Protect your family. Stay safe. I don't want to ever hear that any one of you, I don't want to ever hear your children saying, my parents aren't here because they wanted to go out and party and hang out, or they didn't want to wear a mask after they bury you. You don't want that to happen, right? So all the best to you. I will see you tomorrow at 1 o'clock, and thank you so much. And make sure you're ready for a very busy week, and wishing you all the best. Thank you.